Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something huge by thinking really small. We're going to answer the question, how in the world do you measure the tiniest building blocks of, well, everything? Let's jump in.
So let's just get right to it. This is the big central puzzle. I mean, really think about this for a second. An atom is so mind-bogglingly tiny, you could fit trillions of them on the head of a pin. So how are you supposed to weigh something you can't even see? It seems impossible, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't just use a regular scale. Our everyday units, grams, ounces, they're just useless here. It's kind of like trying to weigh a single eyelash on a scale designed for a freight train. It just won't register. So scientists knew they needed a whole new way of thinking, a brand new system built just for this.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the big problem, then the clever solution they came up with, this new unit called the AMU. We'll define what atomic mass actually is, see how that lets us figure out molecular mass, and then, most importantly, we'll connect it all back to why this stuff matters.
All right, Section 1, weighing the invisible. So let's dive into that core challenge. It's really a problem of scale. The mass of these things is so small. We have to completely change what it means to weigh something.
So how did they solve this? Well, this leads us to the clever solution. Since weighing one atom in grams was basically impossible, scientists had this brilliant idea. They thought, okay, what if we stop trying to get an absolute weight and instead we just weigh them against each other?
The answer, it turns out, isn't about absolute weight, it's about relative weight. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a room full of fruit, but you have no scale. You could just pick up a cherry and say, okay, this cherry is now my standard. It weighs exactly 1 cherry unit. Then you can figure everything else out from there. Maybe a grape weighs the same as 2 cherries. An apple might be 20 cherries. See? You've just invented a measurement system without ever needing to know what a gram is.
And that's pretty much exactly what chemists did. Their standard cherry became a very specific atom, carbon-12. Why carbon-12? Well, it's super common, it's really stable, and so it was the perfect candidate to be the universal benchmark that every single other atom would be compared to.
And this is where we get our new unit of measurement. Scientists took that carbon-12 atom and said, we are going to define its mass as exactly 12 units. They then took 1/12 of that mass and called it an atomic mass unit, or AMU for short. That tiny fraction of a carbon atom, that is our new ruler. It's the key to everything.
Okay, so now that we have our standard, the AMU, we can finally start measuring all the other atoms. This is where we get the concept of atomic mass, and it's why those numbers exist on the periodic table.
Now, this is super important because it clears up something that confuses a lot of people. You have mass number versus atomic mass. A mass number is easy. It's just a simple count. You count the protons and neutrons in one specific atom, and boom, you get a whole number. But atomic mass, the number you actually see on the periodic table, is different. It's a weighted average of all the different natural versions or isotopes of that element. That's why it's usually a decimal.
Yeah, so the big takeaway here is that the atomic mass on the periodic table isn't for just one atom, it's the average for a whole bunch of them. Think about it. In nature, some chlorine atoms have a mass number of 35 and some have 37. The number on the chart, 35.45, is just the average because the lighter version is a bit more common. So it's not the weight of any single atom, it's more like a statistical snapshot.
All right, we've got a handle on weighing individual atoms. So what's the next logical step? Well, we start sticking them together to make molecules. And the great news is, this part is actually really easy.
Seriously, that's it. The hard part is over. Molecular mass is just the sum of the atomic masses of all the atoms in a molecule. If you can do basic addition, you can do this. It's that straightforward.
Okay, enough theory. Let's do the math. The best way to get this is to actually walk through an example with a molecule that every single one of us knows.
And that molecule is, of course, water, H2O. It's the perfect test case, simple, familiar, and great for showing how this works.
So let's break it down, step by step. First, we just identify what's in there. The formula H2O tells us we have 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Simple enough. Next, we just pull out our periodic table and look up their atomic masses. Hydrogen is about 1.008 AMU. Oxygen is about 15.999 AMU. Now, for the final step, we just add them all up. Since we have 2 hydrogens, we'll multiply its mass by 2 and then add the mass of the 1 oxygen.
And voila, you get 18.015 AMU.
That's it. That's the molecular mass of one single molecule of water. See? Pretty simple, right? But also super powerful.
Okay, so we can calculate this number. Big deal, right? Well, actually, yeah, it's a huge deal. This one little calculation is the bedrock for so much of modern science, and it impacts our world in ways you might not even realize.
I mean, just look at this list. We're talking about medicine, we're calculating the right dose of a drug comes down to knowing its molecular mass. We're talking about engineering new materials, making stronger, lighter alloys for planes and cars. It's crucial for understanding nutrition, for creating basically anything in a chemical plant, even from monitoring pollution. It is absolutely everywhere.
So, what this all comes down to is that this isn't just some abstract idea from a chemistry textbook. This is the fundamental language that scientists use to measure, to predict, and to literally build the world around us. It's like learning the grammar of reality itself.
And that leaves us with one last big question. Okay, great, we can weigh a single molecule. But in the real world, nobody works with just one molecule. We work with visible amounts, with trillions and trillions of them. So how do we make the jump from weighing one to actually being able to count a huge group of them? Well, that's a perfect cliffhanger for our next explainer.